Hi everyone, it's Angela again. I am back with my story. Before I continue my story from the point where I left it, please subscribe to channel to show your support. It would mean a lot. Sure, I have no problem, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I hope you two can spend quality time together. Then I turned around and went to my room. I knew for a fact that Matt and Vanessa were going to stay in the same room, and I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. Just when I thought that I had a chance with Matt, he had to reveal his girlfriend. I mean, he couldn't have told me sooner? At least it would have saved me the heartbreak. But thank goodness I got to know everything before I confessed to him. Otherwise, I would have been in an even worse situation. I sighed in my tragic life and went to bed. The next morning, Matt and I had several meetings to attend. We were done by evening, and when we returned back to the hotel, Vanessa was waiting for us. Or should I say, she was waiting for Matt. Thank goodness your meetings are over now, she said, grabbing Matt's arm. I have made a reservation at a restaurant. Let's go and have dinner. Sure, Matt replied, and then turned to me. Angela, would you like to join us? My first instinct was to glance at Vanessa. And sure enough, she didn't look too happy with this. I didn't blame her. I wouldn't have been happy either. If my boyfriend invited some other girl while on a date, and I had no intentions of being a third wheeler anyway, so I refused. Come on, don't be like that, Matt started insisting. What are you going to do here alone? Join us, come. Before I could protest any further, he grabbed my hand and started dragging me. Well, what can I say? Some things were out of my control. The whole night Vanessa kept glaring at me, suddenly, while Matt was completely oblivious, behaving like his usual self. It was a hell of an awkward dinner. I was relieved when it was over. The next few days were torturous to say the least. I still had feelings for Matt, even though he had a girlfriend. And Matt, on the other hand, was confusing me. He acted as if he were closer to me than his girlfriend. And it didn't help that Vanessa thought I was the villain. I had no idea that things were about to take a turn for the worse. A few days into the trip, we received the news that there was some kind of problem because of which all the flights and public transportations were canceled. Everyone was stuck wherever they were, meaning that night we were stuck in the hotel. Our flights had been canceled too. There was no other option. I was really dejected because I was so not looking forward to spending time with my crush and his girlfriend. Matt came to my room one morning, taking me by surprise. I wanted to talk to you about something, he started. We don't know when we will be able to get out of here, so why not utilize our time? The thing you told me about your dad is still on my mind. My eyes widened when I heard that. Amidst Matt and Vanessa, I had completely forgotten about my dad and the company thing. I was thinking that we could start our own online company during this time, Matt continued. What? Our own company? Are you sure? I asked in disbelief. Company is such a huge thing. We will need investments and all. It's not like we have anything to lose, Angela, Matt replied. And don't worry about investments. We can get good investors if we're able to pitch our idea. Wow, seems like you are prepared, I remarked. He nodded, smiling. I told you I will help you deny. Now is the perfect time for that. So the first thing Matt and I did was go through all the important documents and stuff to find a loophole about Dad's company. We were going to learn lessons from his mistake and use his weaknesses as our strength. And we surely found it soon enough. It was not that difficult. Considering we had all the inside info on Dad's company, we could always be one step ahead of him and offer better deals to our customers. The 30 days that we were stuck in the hotel was a very crucial period for us. We started a company during that which I never thought was possible, and our plan was running very smoothly. Soon, our company was not just a company, it was a giant, while Dad's company just kept going down in the market. But this was not the only reason why those 30 days were important. There was something else too. Since Matt and I were working together on our company, we used to spend most of the time together, locked up in my room. Now imagine how Vanessa felt because of this. She was here to spend time with her boyfriend, who was now busy working once again. I felt kind of bad for her. But for me, Work was the first priority, and seemed like it was the same format. One day, Matt and I were on a very important conference call with our investors, when all of a sudden, the door to my room is slammed open. Vanessa barged in. Can you believe she had interrupted an important work call? Matt gestured for her to leave, but she stayed rooted to her spot. You always asked me to leave, Matt, she said, crossing her arms. Today, I won't leave. His work was more important to you than me. That was my cue to apologize to the investors and end the call. It was so humiliating. Vanessa, are you out of your mind? Matt yelled, as soon as I cut the call. You created a scene in front of our important business partners. Do you have no sense? You left me with no other choice. Vanessa fumed all day long. You keep working and leaving me alone. You come back exhausted at night and go to sleep without even talking to me. Do you know how I feel? I can't really deal with this right now, Matt said, clutching his head. Please leave me alone for a few hours. And with that, he left the room. Vanessa and I were left alone in the room now. Her eyes were burning with hatred for me. This is all happening because of you, she said. Are you happy now? Look, Vanessa, I started calmly. Don't get the wrong idea. If Matt didn't love you, he would have never called you here. And you know very well that we are only friends, nothing more. However, what you did today was really immature and childish. You just fell in Matt's eyes. It was your own fault. She let out a frustrated noise and left. I rolled my eyes at her antics. I used to feel bad for her, but now she was just being plain annoying. The next day, unsurprisingly, I heard about Matt and Vanessa's breakup. Vanessa had now moved her stuff to a different room in the hotel. Matt seemed genuinely sad, and I didn't know what to do to comfort him. You think I'm at fault, Angelina? He asked me one day. I don't know, I replied honestly. I can't say for sure until I know both sides of the story. He said, I want to be honest with you. Instead of spending time with Vanessa, I prefer working. I don't know. I used to like her a lot, but recently, it felt like I had fallen out of love with her. Then it's good that you got out of it before any more damage could happen, I said in assurance. After that, we started working hard on the company again. And as I already told you, within those 30 days, the company took a huge leap, which was a matter of great joy for us. Meanwhile, Dad's company had taken a big hit because of the closed businesses. He didn't even realize what was happening. He was too focused with hitting on younger women and neglecting his wife. I won't go into any details, but there came a date when his company went bankrupt. And this was the moment I was waiting for. He had no other option but to sell his company. And guess who was the highest bidder? Me. Duh. I was now capable enough to take over his company exactly as I had planned. When he found out that I, aka his ex-employee, had bought his company, he didn't waste any time in contacting me. And this was the moment that I had been waiting for, to expose him in front of his wife. He wanted to meet me, so I called him to a restaurant. I also called his wife, with a lot of false excuses. I can't believe that I used to have feelings for a girl like you, were his first words, as soon as he saw me. You had been planning this all along. I always thought you were suspicious. Guess who was watching this drama unfold from a different table? Yep, his wife, whom I had somehow convinced to stay and watch. I am sorry, Dad, I smiled. It was not my intention to upset you. The look on his face was priceless. He was obviously taken aback at being called Dad by me. He stood there in silence for a few moments, scanning my face, before finally putting two and two together. Angelina? He stuttered. I stood up from my seat and gave him a sarcastic smile. You deserve a prize for finally getting it right, Dad? Yes, I am Angelina, your freaking daughter whom you abandoned years ago without a single thought. He was about to open his mouth and say something, but was stopped when his wife finally walked up to him and slapped him. I can't believe you would fall so low. You told me that you had no children from your previous marriage. And what is this? I'm hearing about flirting with other women? Shame on you. I will send my lawyer with the divorce papers. Don't bother contacting me again. She spat at him and left. I gave him one last disgusted look before leaving as well. I had accomplished my mission now. I had given him a taste of his own medicine. He was in for a lifetime of suffering. Now the best thing was that in all of this, I had found the person I loved, I could trust, and depend on. You probably already know. I am talking about Matt. We are dating now. Matt needed some time to get over Vanessa after what she confessed that she liked spending time with me and had feelings for me. I didn't waste any time in telling him about my feelings, and thus we started going out. Everything is good in my life now, except for the fact that I miss my mom a lot, and sometimes I think about Dad too, wondering if I should have tried to make up with him instead of taking revenge on him. What do you think? Did I do the right thing? He's tried to contact me a few times to make things up and reunite, but I feel disgusted every time I think about him. Does he deserve a second chance?